So before this video gets started, I want to say that I have a ton of new video ideas coming up, but they've all had to wait on a couple of the big name free agents, picking who they're going to sign with before I can really make a lot of them. Because with what guys like Kawhi Leonard and Kyrie Irving decide to do, it really has a big impact on the rest of the league. I expect the guys like that to sign on to their new teams pretty early next week, so it shouldn't really impact the channel. But if they don't, my videos might take a little bit longer to come out. But with that said, now we can get into this quick video. As of the making of this video, Kemba Walker hasn't officially signed with the Boston Celtics yet, but he can't until free agency opens up on June 30th. But enough reports show that that's where he's going to end up, and I think that's where he will sign once he's able to. And we're here today to look at why. Now, the Hornets have made the bad decision to refuse to trade Kemba for all these years, in part because he's always come out and said that he's going to stay loyal and plans on staying in Charlotte. But even though he said that, him actually leaving isn't his fault, and the Hornets still deserve all the blame here. And that's because he's eligible for and thought he would be receiving the $220 million Supermax contract this upcoming offseason. But Michael Jordan and the Hornets were only looking to give him 5 years and $160 million. Now, whether Kemba is a Supermax player or not is up for another discussion, but that's where this team went wrong. If they knew they didn't plan on offering that much money to keep him, it doesn't make sense why they wouldn't trade him. This was clearly a conversation that they didn't have, and for there to be a $60 million difference in what he thought he was going to get shows terrible communication on the team's part. There's a chance that they didn't think they'd have to give him that Supermax deal, but still. Here's the qualifications to get that type of contract. First, the team must have drafted that star player. That player had to have played there for at least 7 or 8 seasons. And then the player must have made an All-NBA team in the most recent season, or in both seasons before it. And this is why the Hornets really should have taken a lesson from the Kings in 2016, even though not many teams should ever take a lesson from the Kings. But in 2016, DeMarcus Cousins was their star, who they drafted and had for 7 seasons. After his 6th season, he had just made an All-NBA team the past 2 years, in 2014 and 15 and 15 and 16. So while he was going into the 7th and final year of his contract, after that season he was eligible for the Supermax, and he wasn't going to take anything less from the Kings. And Sacramento, finally doing something smart, noticed this and traded him in the middle of that season because they didn't want to give him that much money. And it's what the Hornets failed to do with Kemba. Once they realized he was having a career year and was on pace to even possibly make an All-NBA team, which he made the All-NBA 3rd team this year, they should have traded him before he was expecting that big money. But since they didn't, they took the risk and now he's leaving for the Celtics. And speaking of that, let's look at how he fits in Boston. Now, first off, I'll say that I don't know how I feel about this move for them, and I don't know why Boston thinks that they have to win now. They have a roster full of young talent that proved they can be a playoff team on their own, but really hasn't had their own chance to develop. And with this move, it means a guy like Terry Rozier is going to have to end up on a new team next season. I mean, personally, I think they should have just signed more young players and given them a few years on their own, but since they didn't, this is where they're at. And even though Kyrie Irving may be the better overall point guard, as we know, Irving didn't fit on the Celtics, and Kemba may very well be the better fit on this team. Kyrie had a big ego and wanted to hold on to the ball too much, which really hurt the team. And that's where Kemba can be different. He's never seemed to have any type of an ego. He's a much better player off the ball, and I think he's much more willing to give it up to his teammates so everyone can get involved. Plus, playing alongside great defenders like Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart is only going to elevate his game because those guys can focus on the defensive end while he takes care of everything on offense. And then even more than that, we can imagine how good this Kemba Walker will be if you just insert the Hornets Kemba into Kyrie Irving's spot on the Celtics team, but he's not going to be that Kemba Walker, and he should be a lot better because he's always been the only star on his team and never had teammates as good as he will in Boston to help his game and get him more assists and open looks. I mean, his top 5 teammates over the course of his 8 years in Charlotte turn out to be Corey Maggette, Nick Batum, Al Jefferson, Jeremy Lamb, and Dwight Howard. He's never been on a team that was a real playoff threat, and now that we're going to get to see that and him play with other great players, there's a chance he has the best year of his career this season, now that the offense is going to be opened up and he's going to get opportunities he never has. As of right now, Boston still needs a center, and I think they should still trade Gordon Hayward, but personally for Kemba, this was a great move, and I'm just glad he finally got out of Charlotte. And I'm sure that that team is really going to turn into the worst in the league next year. And the other destination he was rumored to go to is the Dallas Mavericks, who would most likely offer him the same money that Boston can. But I think he goes to the Celtics because they've proven that they're a playoff team that will now have a big spot opened up for a point guard. They've proven they can win, and I think he wants to try and take them to the next level. While the Mavs, on the other hand, still have a lot of uncertainty with their roster and if they're going to be a playoff team at all. Which I think they will, but still, no one's ever seen Kristaps and Luka play together yet, so I think that one's more of a big gamble for him. But what are your thoughts on this move for both sides? Definitely leave a comment and let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next video.